All right, Drink with James, episode 23. Obviously, as you can see, I have a special guest. I have Heidi Nazarudin with me. I just crushed that last name. And Heidi, we're super excited to have her here. She has an amazing story, which she's going to tell you. She has also built an amazing following. She's got 376,000 followers on Instagram. I had to tell her that. She thought she was at 350. It's like, I guess you can get to an amount of followers where you just stop caring and you just like don't know that you gained 20,000 followers.
Well, I stopped caring for a reason.
Why?
Because I'm by nature very A-type. Because I used to like really care, and then it really got to me like, oh my gosh, this girl has 350, this girl has like, and you're like, I need to get 10,000 this weekend. I don't know about other people, but for me, it really sort of like, it's in your head all the time. So I told myself, I'm not gonna check it, but every week I'm gonna check like once a month. So and that has really helped me as a person.
So when you look at your feed, do you kind of like just like hold the top of the screen so you can't see your following? Like, how do you do that?
I just don't look at it.
You just don't look?
Yeah, I just don't look, yeah.
Okay. I sometimes do that with the treadmill at the gym. I'll put the towel over the time. It's like a similar thing maybe.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Anyway, we're excited to have you. As we said, I think it would be great to start to just like tell a little bit of your story of how you became an influencer, because it's a fairly unique one.
Okay. I was an investment banker. I have a degree in computer science, and I was an investment banker with Citibank. And my last job with Citibank was in Tokyo. And as you know, Japanese women are the most fashionable in the world. And I really fell in love with fashion in Japan. And I knew that somehow I needed to get into fashion. I don't know how, I don't know, how I'm going to do it. And I knew I couldn't draw to save my life. So I thought, but I could write. So let me write fashion stories. And I knew some friends in New York, in LA, they were editors, and they gave me some freelance jobs. And mind you, I was still an investment banker, and I was doing really well, and I was writing at night, and after like 6-7 months, I realized I was earning enough to pay for a really crappy apartment plus live on the ramen noodle diet if I wanted to. So I said, okay, so I could probably survive. And so I actually handed my resignation letter to the president of the company, who thought I was joking, because like, you're doing really well, why would you? My dad actually flew to Tokyo, and he's like, he wanted to look at me and say, because he probably thought that I was in a cult or something, like why would you, and I explained it to him, and he was like, I'm a very grounded and sensible person, so he said, you sound like you know what you're doing, so I can see that he doesn't understand, but he supports his daughter, which is really important. Yeah. And I moved to LA to be with my now ex-boyfriend. I mean, we were together for 10 years, and 6 months after I moved to LA, we broke up. Like, how great is that? And, but that really made me concentrate on writing. So like I said, I went from investment banking to fashion writing. And around the same time, blogs were starting to take off. And at that time, you can't really just hit a button and your blog will pop up. You have to know how to program and do coding, and that's how my computer science background came into play. And I was ghost blogging for quite a few people, some very, very famous bloggers now, actually. I'm not going to name names. Right. And I'm thinking after a while, like, why am I writing for them? I should do it myself. And so I started my own blog on the side, and so in the daytime I was ghost blogging, I was doing a lot of copywriting, and I was doing my blog. The first 2 years, that was the whole story. You're doing it part-time, getting some income, but and after the third year I realized I was making the same amount from my copywriting job and also from my blog. So I thought, okay, I guess this is where I have to decide which one, and I decided to do blogging full time. You moved to LA. You don't really know many people except this now ex-boyfriend. And you got to build up this following. I think on Drink with James, a lot of people are always asking about growth, and to go from 0 to 376,000 Instagram followers. How long have you been on Instagram? I don't know. 3.5 years?
3.5 years, okay. I was on it like the second day and I have 19,000 followers. So how did you do it? Or was there anything that you did that worked really well in kind of in building that audience?
Well, Instagram has changed so much, so the strategies have also changed a lot. When I first got on it, I did a lot of cross promotion. Like I was very active on Twitter and Facebook, so I keep telling my followers there, follow me on Instagram. Like I would tease them a lot. Like I would post like a snapshot or something. Like if you want to know what this is, you have to go to my Instagram.
Right.
That worked a lot. I did some giveaways. You know, if you want this, you have to follow me on Instagram. I did a lot of Instagram takeovers with friends. Like you know, let's say someone has
like other influencers.
Yeah, around the same level. Like let's take over each other's Instagram. That really worked. Each time I have brand work, I would tell them like, let me take over your Instagram. Usually they would love it, and I would gain their followers. So that worked. What else did I do? Yeah, those are the strategies that.
What about recently? Because I feel like, you know, speaking from my lowly place of 19,000 followers, feel free to follow me, James.
We should take over each other's
Yeah, you
Instagrams.
should definitely take over my Instagram, 100%. But I know when even when I switched from 9,999 to 10,000, it changes. Like you start getting more followers. And I imagine as you hit those milestones, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, people are more likely to follow you just because they're like, oh, they have 370,000 followers. Right. So as you've grown, I'm sure now that you are so focused on probably the deals and the brands you want to work with, but are there things that you're doing now to continue to focus on growing your Instagram?
Yes. One of the things that I do, and I think a lot of people also that I ask who's very successful on Instagram, they say they engage a lot with their fans. Like I use a bunch of tools to tell me who are my most active commenters, my most active likers.
Can you share what tools do you use?
I use Crowdfire and I use InstaTrack.
And you were talking for planning out your feed. You also use
Planoly. And that's really important because people, when they go to your Instagram feed, the first thing they do is scroll down. They want to see who you are in 5 seconds. So a beautiful feed, especially for fashion or beauty bloggers, is really important. And then that has really helped. Use a lot of hashtags. Now I don't so much, but at least every other post I use 20 to 25 hashtags.
Really?
The second comment,
Okay.
And a lot of bloggers do that as well.
Yeah, and you find that working?
That work a lot. I mean, it's definitely, I can see more followers each day.
So do you do you put in the second comment?
Yeah, I do it in the first
because some people do
one.
like the spaces. Right? Have you seen that?
I've seen that.
They'll like go down, down, but you put it in the second comment.
Second comment, like I actually tested it. I thought at first if I do it in the second comment, this is going to be less effective. But I found actually no, the second comment. But you have to do it as soon after, like in the first 1 minute.
Right.
Yeah.
And so do you keep those hashtags somewhere in your notes?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can just copy and paste them.
Yes.
Is there any that you think specifically are helpful? Like I know for photographers, they'll use like visco film or something. That generally helps. But for you, are there any that if you're not using them and you just said, okay, I want to try 5 that are really good?
Hashtags?
Yeah.
Well, for a fashion blogger, like it's what I wore, currently wearing, Insta fashion diaries, and those are the 4 that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Tim will put those out on the screen somewhere for everyone.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I mean, have you, now that the Instagram in some ways must be growing organically just on its own now, right? Are you more focused now on brand partnerships and figuring
I've always been focused on brand partnership from day one.
So talk me through that. So, how, coming from a really strong business background, how did you look at this in the beginning? And I think a question that a lot of influencers get is, maybe they have 10 or 20,000 followers and they're working with brands, but they want to switch from unpaid to paid. Yeah. And that's a tough hurdle for a lot of people to get over. You obviously got over that at some point. So how do you think about brand partnerships and how did you kind of get those first couple ones? And then we'll talk about what you're doing now.
Okay, I love this question. First of all, I feel that you don't need to have 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 to get paid. You need to believe you will get paid. That's the number one thing. You need to think you're worth it. And then the first thing is treat yourself as a business. A lot of the small bloggers, I find, they don't even have media kits. Like if you want brands take you seriously. You need to take yourself seriously. So have a proper media kit that's well designed. That's the first and most important rule. And second is have really strong branding. I know a few bloggers that have less than 50,000 that are getting paid well because their images and their brand is so strong. Like you go to her feed, in 5 seconds you know what she's all about. And that's more important than having 300,000 followers. And I even know bloggers that have 800,000 followers, but you don't even know what they're about. Like it's all a bunch, to me anyway, like it's kind of random, all your photos. It's hard for them to actually get brands to pay them well. So it's not about numbers. Of course, numbers are great, but it's all about who you are, and you will get those partnerships.
Yeah, that's really great, because I think there is we were talking earlier about looking at other people's feeds and having that like jealousy almost, right? Like I want to get there.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people look at popular influencers' feeds and then they start copying them, right? And
don't do that.
They come to New York and they do the picture of the Brooklyn Bridge, and they do this, and they do like the heart, on they go to the Empire State Building or whatever. This is a heart, I think. There's a lot of hearts going on like this. I think Tula Vintage, Jess Stein does this a lot, so then a lot of people started doing that anyway. But to your point, I think you need to come up with your own point of view, right? And not try and just copy what's working for everybody else.
Yeah. It's great to always look at other people's feeds and see what they're doing great, but it's equally as important to take that and put your own spin on it. We
were just talking about quotes.
Yeah.
And you said that quotes have been working really well for you. And I was looking through your feed, and it seems like a fairly recent addition to your feed.
No, I've been doing it quite a bit. Sometimes it's just
I'm totally wrong. I've been drinking, people. But you were saying you do it a little different than most people.
Yes, what I do is I take quotes that really resonate with me or are really funny, and I put my branding on it. Yeah, I make sure it's my font, my colors, and I post it on my feed all over social media. And I actually have different sizes for different social media. Like my Pinterest ones are obviously 720 x 1024 and squares for Instagram, and I post it. And my followers, they love them.
Yeah.
They will repost them, they will tag their friends.
And is that the one you get reposted the most?
Yes.
And that's why you keep your branding on it? Because you don't have like watermarks on your normal fashion images, but for this one you put your branding on because it gets shared so much?
Yes, exactly.
So if you guys aren't doing quotes, actually check out her feed. She does a really good job of it. And it is, there's not a huge amount of opportunity sometimes for people to tag their friends and be like, hey, I think you'd like this. And it is something, and a great quote resonates with everyone, right? Ideally.
And they'll be like, I can even see them on the post that I have my quotes. People are like, you have to follow her, she's amazing. And I'm like, wow, people really love quotes, and it gives them a chance to introduce their friends to my feed.
Well, I think that also goes back to the point, and we didn't really touch on it, you just mentioned it, of the connection you have with your followers. And I think that we've talked about engagement and following here a lot, and about the fact that people need to feel that connection.
Yes.
Right? They need to feel like they're a part of your life, or they're rooting for you.
Yes.
Because you very likely have a very different life than your followers, right?
I find that my followers, they fall into two groups. One is women who already made it. They're like the CEOs and the CFOs and the successful go-getting people, and they just love it that they can relate with me, because they can't relate to that 25-year-old girl who's always on the beach, like, I'm working, like, what are you doing? Like, I get that a lot. Like, they love that my fashion sense is something they can relate to. Like, I'm not sexy, I'm not like always in, jeans that go up to, this kind of thing. So they love that they can wear what I'm wearing. So that's one type of followers. The other one are the girls that they want to be like that. So I have two kinds of followers.
How did you figure out that you had two groups, and how did you define them?
By reading the comments and going to their feed and looking at who they are. Like, if I've been doing this for a long time, so you can tell, you can group them just by reading the comments, looking at their feed. You can tell the life. So you can tell, oh, this woman is like me. She's head of marketing at P&G, and she dresses fabulously, and you can see that persona manifests itself over and over. So you say, okay, this is one group, and then you can see the other one that's like, she's a startup owner, she's an entrepreneur, she's at a mid-level job, and you can tell from the clothes she wears what kind of life she leads. And so you can tell, those are the two groups of women that follow my feed.
And when you think about content, how are you thinking, oh, this is going to work really well for both? Is it more directed at one group or the other?
Yeah, what I do is, and I talked about this a lot with my team, we make sure that our content is 60-40 or 70-30, like 60 or 70% more aspirational, like, going to Milan, living a nice or whatever, but at least 30 or 40% is something that is attainable to those who are trying to make. I know that at least this group of women, the second group, can, they when they see a lipstick, oh my gosh, like that Revlon lipstick, I can actually afford it. And when they see that I'm posting content that they, or work with brands that they can afford, they would actually literally run to the store and buy that and repost it. Heidi, I bought this, and it's so amazing for me to see that. Like wow,
screenshot, email to Revlon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would screenshot, look, 4 people. I would do this thing with Revlon. I'm holding a lipstick, and at least 5 women, they did the exact same thing on their feed. I screenshot, this is what my fans are doing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You mentioned your team. So this is a phenomenon that Tim and I are really interested in, and we talk about a lot, is that as these things grow, they're businesses. And you said from day one you treat it like a business.
Right, but day one is only
take us behind the
one
scenes.
person.
Yeah, take us behind the scenes a little bit. What does your team look like? And what does your team look like? And when did you start to bring people in to help you?
So I love this question because I find that a lot of my blogger friends, one of the reasons they couldn't grow is they don't understand that they need to delegate and they need to have a team. So I first got a virtual assistant about a year into my blog because I realized I was spending way too much time trying to figure out formatting and programming and why am I spending 7 hours trying
uploading
to fix the color on this when I should be out there getting work. So she's still with me.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and now she's full-time working only for me.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and
where is she based out of?
She's actually based in the Philippines.
Okay.
And I've given her so many raises, and she shows me photos of her kids. I send her Christmas presents.
That's great.
Yeah, and that's my first team member. Now I also have a junior VA. She's also full-time, also based in the Philippines. Recommended my first person who's been promoted.
Yeah.
So those are my 2 girls in the Philippines. And I have a social media manager, and I have an editor, and I have a graphic person, and I have a publicist and agent, and we're adding 2 more people this year.
What do you do for photography? Do you work with professional photographers in the cities that you go to? Or do you have someone you travel with?
No, I wish I had someone I travel with, but in LA I have 2 photographers that I go to. They're professionals, and also in New York the same thing. And when I travel, I used to use Model Mayhem a lot, and even Craigslist.
Yeah, that's old school.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I would use Craigslist, but now there's a service called Flightographer, and I use them a lot. When I needed to do a shoot in Milan, I would actually go to a Flightographer, and the photographers are amazing. And just plan ahead.
As you were growing your Instagram, you must have hit a few plateaus. What did you do when you hit those plateaus in your following?
First of all, take a break. Don't stress about it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen many times.
So take a break. What did that look like for you?
Go off Instagram for 2 days.
Yeah?
Yeah, just do that.
Just ghost it.
Yeah. After a few months, sometimes,
Do you start break out in hives? You sweating when you're not on Instagram?
Oh my gosh. I am like an addict. I'll be in a corner kind of rocking. My boyfriend's like, what is wrong with you? I'm off Instagram. And then really evaluate what else can you do, because people do get tired of the same thing, and think of what you can do that's new and exciting. It can be Instagram takeovers, find another blogger with the same demographic as you, do Instagram takeovers, or even with a brand, do a promotion on another channel. Just try to do something new, and at the same time don't stress about it too much, because it's going to happen. But if you do something new and that's authentic to your brand, your new fans will come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And even if sometimes, like if you don't want to take a break from Instagram, just engage more with your followers. I find just by doing that, like I'll stop doing anything on my feed. I'll just, again, use the apps that I use and engage with my top followers. I will bring in new followers from their channels.
I mean, that's got to make them feel so special to get like a comment from you or something.
And I'm so grateful. Like having a lot of followers is a privilege to me. I treat it as a privilege. That's why sometimes when I remember my followers' names, my agent's like, "How do you remember?" Like, because to me, it's like I can't believe like you're following me.
Do you have like an OG follower that's been there from the beginning that you're like, this is the person?
Yes. These followers, they remember what I wore from day one, and I would pull out an outfit that I haven't worn for 6 years, like, oh yeah, that's the one you wore. I'm like, oh my gosh, how does this person even remember? Yeah.
What are most influencers getting wrong? What are they doing wrong in kind of managing their businesses?
Not having a brand. The first thing I ask when someone say they're not growing is like, describe your blog in 2 sentences. And 99% they can't even do that. I'm like, you have a problem right there. You can't even say what your blog is about in 2 sentences.
Right.
So if you are able to, give a description in 2 sentences, and that is so clear, I can see your blog without even looking at it, then you have a great brand. Right. If not, I tell them to go back and.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if someone's sitting around with their friends being like, who do you follow? Oh, you should follow this girl on Instagram. She's awesome.
Yeah.
They need to have that description as well. Of like,
right.
What's your thing?
Yeah.
What's your story?
Right.
What's your 2 sentences?
My blog is a style and success blog for working women. And that's one sentence.
That's beautiful. That's 1 sentence.
Yeah.
She's a pro though. Don't try 1 sentence right off the bat. Give yourself 2, ease into it. Last question. You seem like me to be someone who enjoys the finer things in life. Favorite New York City hotel? What is it?
The Baccarat.
Right now, the Baccarat.
Yeah.
100% on board with you on that. That hotel is unreal.
It's jaw-dropping.
I just want to I want to live there somehow. Baccarat, if you're watching.
Yes. Please hire
hook
me.
up. Yeah, we could have a suite and I could leave when you come to town.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
Yes.
What about restaurant?
I was at the Daniel.
Yeah.
It's just, the food is mind-boggling.
That place is, that's an institution.
Mm-hmm.
And favorite, what is it about New York that if you're going to come and see one thing, do you do any kind of tourist things? Do you walk the High Line when you're here? I know you're probably in meetings back to back to back, but
I always try to hit at least 1 Broadway show.
Yeah?
I am a sucker. I've seen the Book of Mormon 3 times.
Did you see Hamilton?
No, please, someone give me tickets.
Someone give her tickets. She'll trade an Instagram post for you, maybe. I don't know.
I'll trade 10 Instagram
She'll trade 10 Instagram posts for Hamilton.
2 tickets, though. I want to go with my boyfriend.
2 tickets.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we might just call up Lancome or something and be like, okay, I got a deal for you, Lancome. 10 posts for 2 Hamilton tickets. Although they're $1,500 each, right?
Yeah.
They're incredibly expensive.
Yeah, and still, it's even with 50, it's really hard to get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it shouldn't be for you. Hey, well, we were so lucky to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And if you have questions, you can follow her on Instagram and just comment because apparently she's going to answer them, which is fantastic.
I read all my comments.
She reads all of them. I will not answer any comments, so don't even bother. I get 2 and I ignore them. But thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next week. All right. Thank you. That was great.